What was my experience to live and work in Indonesia? Today I will let you know, coming right up. Hey, what's cooking guys? Marcel here again from Slamming It Out. Thank you for watching my video and welcome back to my mini-series Living and Working Abroad. Last week I was talking about my experiences in Malaysia, so if you want to watch this video, go check it out. But today I'm gonna talk about Indonesia, also a country which is very close to my heart. Indonesia is the largest Muslim country in the world. It is located in Southeast Asia, has roughly 270 million inhabitants and consists of around 17,000 islands. Nobody really knows how many islands there are. Out of all the years I spent in foreign countries, and as you might know, I spent my time in 11 different countries on 4 continents. I spent the most time actually in Indonesia. It was about 3.5 years. Indonesia is a very fascinating country for me because it's so huge and so diverse. It is multicultural. You have Muslims living there, you have Christians living there, you have Protestants and Catholic Christians living there, you have even Buddhists living there. It's a very tolerant place. There are around 300 different ethnic groups in Indonesia, and I believe there are more than 700 different dialects spoken. Christian and Muslims, they are living absolutely peacefully together. This is what I have experienced. I have not noticed anything else. At my work, my team consisted of Muslim people and Christian people. There was never ever any problem. We had a great team always. We had great teams actually, because I worked and lived in different places. But I never had any issues with my team. There was no fighting over any religious matters. So here I must emphasize again, and I want to emphasize again, that Indonesia is really a role model when it comes to tolerance and all these kind of things. The Indonesian people are just great. I really love them. They are similar to Malaysian people, very warm-hearted, very open-minded, I must say. This is a little bit a special thing with the Indonesian people. I find they are very open-minded. They like to laugh, they like to sing, they like to dance. They are just outgoing and they have a very warm personality. I worked in 3 different cities. My first place was Medan on Sumatra. Then I worked in Jakarta and I also worked in Batam. There are many 5-star hotels around the country, especially in Jakarta, where you also used to have a big expat community. I don't know how it is now these days, especially with the current situation, but when I was there, we had a big expat community. There were a lot of people from foreign countries working in Jakarta or in other Indonesian city. It was a very great experience. The main difference when I compare Indonesia to Malaysia is definitely the level of English. So Indonesian people, I don't even know if they learn English in school, I think so, but the level of their English is not at all on the standard of the Malaysian people. But that was never a problem for me, since I always had people in my team who helped me to translate. And other than that, I used my 2 hands, my feet and my head and my eyes, and then everything else I could use for communication. It was no problem. And it is of course strongly advised that you learn the language a little bit, that you learn a few words, that you also can communicate, but also that you can actually pick up a few words, because your colleagues, your people, your team members, they know that you actually don't speak the language. So you know how it is. People try to get funny and try to maybe make fun of you behind your back and speak in their language. And if you can pick up some words and then they even answer in their language, they're gonna be very surprised, you know, because they see, oh my God, the chef or the boss, or he understands our language, so we have to be careful what we are saying. Indonesia is a very popular tourist destination, therefore the many hotels and also the tourism industry was booming until recently. I also could see this in the many schools you have, the hospitality schools and culinary schools. And I was, as a matter of fact, I was a lecturer at one of these schools in Batam in Indonesia, and the interest of the people is really there. The schools, they used to be full. I don't know how it is now. I think most of the schools unfortunately are closed, but the schools used to be full. The interest was high. People subscribing and enrolling in culinary classes, in baking classes, in hospitality classes. So I think Indonesia still has a great future ahead, and the human supply, the human resources is definitely there, because many young people, and this is great to see, they are really interested to work in the hospitality industry. I worked with a lot of trainees. I always was the first one to take trainees in from these culinary schools. I don't even remember, but I worked with dozens of trainees. When one batch finished after 2-3 months, I took the next batch in. That was a lot of fun to get to know these people and to train them, to mentor them and to coach them and to give them the opportunity to learn. And I always liked doing this, and it was always very sweet sometimes when we celebrated their farewell. Then I received gifts from my students and little pictures they prepared, or hand-signed drawings and all these kind of things. That was most of the time very touching, but for me good to experience, because I made an impact in their life. Maybe not such a big impact, but at least I did an impact on their life, and that is something very memorable. Indonesian people are very sensitive people. You have to keep that in mind when you want to work with them successfully. Indonesian people also respect other people in general, and of course also people from other cultures. So if you want to get along with Indonesian people like with any other human beings, please respect them. If you show them your respect, and if you work your ass off for them, if you really show that you care for them, then Indonesian people will be the most loyal people on this planet. This is what I have experienced. I still have today, after many years not working in Indonesia anymore, still contact with a lot of people there. I have still many friends all over in Indonesia. That's the good thing. If I want to travel to Indonesia, I have people everywhere. I have people in Jakarta. I have people in Bali. I have friends in Sumatra. I have friends, colleagues and people everywhere. So I just need to take my phone and actually call or send an SMS to them and say, hey, I'm gonna come over. Is it okay if we meet? And they will be happy to see me, and they will take care of me. So they are very loyal, you know, they will be loyal until the end of your days if you manage to treat them right in the beginning. So what do I like about Indonesia? Definitely its people, definitely its food, because it's so diverse. It has, of course, Indonesian food, and you have also a great Chinese influence. And of course, if you travel the country, because the country is so huge, you have all these regional influences which you will experience when you travel through the country. And of course, Indonesia is a beautiful country. It has a diverse nature and culture, and is therefore the perfect travel destination. What do I don't like about Indonesia? Nothing. I like everything. But you have to keep in mind, if you are a Western guy who is traveling to Indonesia the very first time, or even if you are somebody who is taking up his or her first assignment or his or her first job in Indonesia, then please keep in mind, Indonesia is a Southeast Asian country. It is completely different than Western countries. Indonesia is not a Western country, even you have many expats working and living there. You need to be able to adapt to the local culture and the people and the mentality. I worked together with Western people who had tremendous difficulties. It was their first time to work in Indonesia, and they did not get along because of the difference in mentalities. There is a huge difference in Western mentality compared to Indonesian mentality. Western people we are more outgoing in terms of more direct. You know, when we like something, we say it. If we don't like something, we also say it straight into your face. And Indonesian people are more reserved and more quiet and more sensitive also. Indonesian people are all about keeping the harmony. So if you want to walk in there like a Western soldier and want to give orders and push the people, that's not a good idea. Pushing Indonesian people too much and too strongly in the beginning is not a good idea. It's not a good way to establish a good relationship. As I mentioned, I worked with people from Western countries, and one of these people was actually my boss. It was my general manager. She was running an hotel in Indonesia, and she had tremendous difficulties to get along with the Indonesian staff. She was not very popular because of her behavior and the way she treated the people, and I could see first, and it was also her first time in Indonesia. So in her defense, I must say, not everybody needs to get along in Indonesia. Not everybody needs to get along in any country. But in her case, she worked in other Southeast Asian countries before. So, but in this case, she had difficulties, I think, and she was not very liked much by the people. So this is what you have to keep in mind. You need to be able to adopt to local mentality and culture. And in order to do that, you need to be flexible in your mind. If you cannot do this, then it's so easy to start judging people. And this is exactly what happened with my ex-boss. She started to judge the Indonesian people, saying they are lazy and they don't do their work and they're just chit-chatting the whole day. You know, that came, I think, out of this miscommunication and because of her high expectations, because maybe she brought her Western expectation to Indonesia and she thought Indonesian people would behave and react and respond the same way like Western people do. That's not the case. This is what I want to make very clear here. And this actually applies to any country where you work in Southeast Asia or any country anywhere else. If it is not a Western country, you have to be flexible and you have to be able to adopt. What's my favorite Indonesian food? Number one, it's beef rendang. That's my top favorite. Then I also love to eat nasi goreng, which is the famous fried rice. I love soto Medan, not because I worked in Medan for almost 3 years, but I really love the soup. Indonesian food is said to be very spicy, which is true. Many dishes use a lot of chili, and in the beginning when I started to work in Indonesia, I really could not stand the food. I couldn't stand it. It was just too spicy. And in certain regions and certain parts of Indonesia, the regional cuisine is more spicy here than in other parts. For example, in Medan in North Sumatra, the food is cooked very spicy, and I had tremendous difficulties to enjoy the food because it was too spicy. They put too much chili in everything. Later, a few years later, when I worked in Batam, I had a great staff canteen chef, and I used to eat in the staff canteen every single day. Normally, as an expat, you eat, or as an expat chef at the time, I was the executive chef, I could have eaten in the restaurant. But I preferred to use our staff canteen because the cook was great. He cooked Indonesian food, local food, but it was so tasty that I ended up every day sitting in the staff canteen, and the food was not so spicy. I don't know, or maybe I had adjusted already to the taste, and today I even put chili in my dishes on purpose because I need some spices in my dishes. So this is the Indonesian influence, starting as a greenhorn who could not stand chili and spices at all, and now I love it. And when I go into an Indonesian restaurant and I order Indonesian food, I need to have chili. There is no other way. Otherwise, it's not authentic Indonesian if there is no chili. What was my overall experience in 3.5 years working and living in Indonesia? What did I learn? And I must say, definitely I could learn a great deal about tolerance, and I could learn a great deal about food. Also, I learned how to take things easy. Indonesian people are a little bit more laid back than Western people. They are a little bit more relaxed. And this is exactly which maybe leads to a little bit of miscommunication. You know, we Western people, we are like soldiers. Everything needs to be done and fixed now, and everything needs to be very accurate, blah, blah, blah. Some Indonesian people who are watching this video might be laughing now, but that's like it is, right, guys? And you guys, Indonesian people, are a little bit more relaxed. And then, you know, these Western people think, they are lazy and they don't want to listen. No, it's not because of that. So what I want to say is, this is what I could learn from them, not to take everything so serious, you know. Take it easy. If something bad is happening or something here, an accident or something miserable there, these Indonesian people have a different way of approaching it and to responding. So shit happens or shit hits the fan. I learned that from the Indonesian people to take it a little bit more easy. You still can fix the problem. No need to freak out. Take it easy and just relax. Not relax too much, but just take it a little bit more easy. And I mentioned it before already, what really impressed me is the religious tolerance, that people from different religions, different faiths, absolutely live peacefully together. I never had any issues at my workplace whatsoever in 3.5 years. People worked together. You know, when you look in other parts of the world, especially in the Middle East, where they're killing each other over their faith, not so in Indonesia. And therefore, I recommend for everyone who wants to study tolerance itself, go to Indonesia, spend a couple of weeks there, walk down the streets, walk down the roads, watch the people, look how they get along with each other. I see girls in Indonesia all over the place. For example, also in Jakarta, you can see the Muslim girls or Muslim women. One is dressed up with the hijab, with the tudung, the scarf, and very traditional clothes. And then you have her girlfriend is walking around with a skirt, you know, and there is no problem whatsoever, not a big deal at all. It's very, very tolerant, and this is what I really like and what really impressed me about Indonesia. And I learned about the food, of course, because it's so diverse. I mentioned it already. And so many different spices, so many different ways of cooking. They use different equipment, of course. And when you have a chance to travel to the faraway provinces, up in the mountains or in the jungle, then you can really learn something, how they make the food, how they cook the food, and what kind of different ingredients they use. This is tremendous learning experience. I think you can travel 1 year through Indonesia and can call it a culinary journey, and you will learn every day something new about food, people and culture. Do I recommend Indonesia? Absolutely yes, and I even consider it a place for my retirement because it is very affordable for foreigners to live there. Alrighty, I hope you liked this video. If you did, then please give me a thumbs up, click the like button and put your comments down below. If you have any, I would be glad to read them. And if you want to know more about Indonesia, then you can find many more stories here in this book. It's called Slamming It Out. I have released it last year, and it is loaded with useful tips, tricks and other tools if you want to become a more professional chef. And you can also read many more of my adventures here. And I'm happy to announce that my new online course on Udemy is now available. It is called Leadership Skills: How to Become a Better Team Leader. So if you are a team leader, if you are a chef, a sous chef, a junior sous chef, or even a chef de partie, if you are leading small, medium-sized or large teams, that doesn't matter. If you want to improve your leadership skills, if you want to become a better leader, if you want to organize and form a successful, committed and loyal team, then this course is for you. The link is in the description. Check it out, click on the link and roll in the course. And with that being said, I'm checking out for today. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay healthy and stay safe. And don't forget, always keep slamming it out. Bye bye.